Welcome to another math video. I got tired of beginner algebra, so now I moved on to Boolean algebra or discrete math, logical mathematics. But, I always jump back and forth, jump all around my disciplines, keeps things fresh, and it's the best way to, I found the best way to learn things because you're not forcing yourself to learn a discipline, which ends up actually draining you more than you actually intake. So, when I first started this, I was having brain aneurysms trying to understand, I guess, how the statements kind of play into the validity of its output, or of the whole statement itself, or the expression. We'll call them expressions. Because, like, how can a negation, if you negate something, how could it end up being like true in the end? Anyways, I was thinking real hard on that, and it took me a while, but I think I finally generated a illustration, a abstraction of the process, and like a cloud. I formed a cloud of in the background of the the hard the hard symbols, the connectives and the statements and all the different expressions. For a way of understanding. That's what I'm about. I find it best to, you got to understand the abstraction behind what's going on in order to actually understand what's going on. Because if you just try and memorize it, you're not a computer. At least your brain is not a computer. Well, I mean, you could say it is, but it definitely, you already know you can't calculate like a computer. And no human can calculate like a computer. At least it's very hard to. But anyways, so that's my proof on that. But okay, so what do we got here? We'll start up here. Actually, we'll start down here. This is a signal, right? Digital signal. What I want you to understand about digital signals is they are neutral. They contain both the negative and the positive. They contain the 1 and the 0, or the truth and the false in the signal. The validity, both sides are in the signal. You can even see it in the signal itself. You see this line here, it could go either way, up or down. As you can see, they're just reverses of each other. If you were to turn yourself upside down like that, you would see that it's the same thing. There's no distinction between them, even though it looks like there is. But that's important to understand, because then you'll understand how the absence of a truth can also be true for some, like a gate that is looking or checking for the absence of it. It is true in that regard. But so this is a truth table. It don't look like one, but it is one. I didn't go too much into filling it out, but look up a truth table and you'll see that it kind of looks like this. But I broke them up into sections. These kind of align with each other. The truth tables are great. I like them. They explain a lot. But in the beginning, they're the front leftmost part of the truth table. You have all your possible combinations based on the number of inputs that you have. Of course, it grows if you grow a number of input, it starts, magnitudes higher. It starts degrees higher, starts multiplying by itself. But you have all the combinations, all the possibilities of those inputs, of the two true or false possibilities, right? And each possibility, each row of combinations is basically one ripple of movement, one ripple of force through the logical diagram or the circuit. The logical diagram is just a drawing of the circuit, through the logical circuit. So if you can think of this, imagine you have your resonator here rippling, and it ripples through. It starts neutral, but then it gains an input based on what you put on it, but it begins, so it ripples through the first combination, and this is the property, or the property, I would say property, or I interchangeably use quality, the quality of the signal as it starts with these inputs, right? So section 1. The beginning of your inputs, it contains always your single variables. You could also interchangeably call it, if we're thinking of it in complexity, we could call them primitives. I guess primitive variables. Maybe that kind of lines up with computer science, or computer in the context of computers. You got your simple primitive variables. That's what they have. So they have no logical connectives. So they lack a meaning in relation to each other, right? Output of a neutral signal. All right. So then they meet their first gate. A gate is described by its syntax, which is usually the inputs, but they introduce a connective symbol, which is your ands, your ors, your nors or nans, something like that. So they introduce a relationship between the two statements, or you could interchangeably call them prepositions. You might see that thrown around. Yeah. What does this say? Yeah, so you're introduced to your first gate. I don't know what that says. But they're compound. Okay, and so what's interesting about these gates, the combinations, is what they do is they check the input, they check against something. So they have their rule book, basically, and they check the quality of the signal against its rules, right? To give you its output. And the output, because once you start trying to keep track of these as you go up in growth, this is the, what did I call this? Growth of complexity. The output is the meaning, or it's the sum of the gate. You can say that because it's the one output for the combination of the expression of the gate. So it gets condensed into the one, so it's like the sum of it. But yeah, so it checks against the quality of the signal. But I think that's all I have to mention about that as far as right now. But so yeah, what matters most is the output that it gives you, because then you're going to use that to go into the next higher level. Actually, I don't like to think of this as high and up, or up and down, higher and lower. I like to think of this as forward. Okay, forget this for right now. What I want to say is I want to state that discrete math and logical math is the understanding of forward movement, the understanding of energy as it moves forward, right? As opposed to maybe algebra being more focused on up and down, maybe growth and refine, I've said that before, or reduction. This is more forward and back. Forward and back. Right? So you're moving down along, you're moving along the line here. Things start getting messy. Now you got combinations of combinations, right? So I call them complex statements. They are a combination, so they have their usual syntax of a variable or statement A, statement B. Then they have their meaning or their relation defined by the symbol. But inside this statement is the whole complexity of everything before it, right? So this could, this is variable A and this is B technically, but it's a whole gate. It's a complex gate. The whole thing is just one gate, but yeah. So I think that's all I can think of as far as section theta. I call them complex statements. I think I also stated that they are a combination of everything before it, and yeah. So again, what matters is the output, because in the end, all these logical diagrams, they all fall back into one meaning, which you can just look at is the logical symbol for it to find if it's your final output is true or false. So it all falls back into one. Maybe it starts as one, maybe not so much. Maybe it starts as one, gets split into one. It starts as one, but it gets split into two whole ones as inputs or variables, and then it falls back into one true or false input or action that comes out in the other end of the rectum. So yeah, ain't that interesting? So here we got that was just one instance, right? Now you got the rest of your combinations from the beginning, or your possibilities that you can go through, or that you can go through, and then just go across and check each of them. But I think that's all I got to say about this topic, at least this understanding of beginning concepts of discrete math. We'll call it that. Yeah, each other is unique. Yeah, interesting stuff. Like I said, I mean, I was having real hard time trying to figure this, kind of figuring this out, with the whole neutral thing. Um, but I think this is the most important thing to understand is the signal contains both the neutral, I mean, both the false and the truth, or just the one and the zero. And the gate, if it's a negative gate, it's looking for checking against the signal, for that. Uh, it's checking. A gate checks for something, so it's checking for that negation to make it true. So it'll flip into true. It's kind of got to wrap your head around that. But I think that's the most important takeaway. Um, yeah. So until next time, see y'all later, uh, with more math videos. Yeah. Take it easy, and we're waiting for you. And it is your birthright to join us. So, till next time.